Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm just doing another one of my Yu-Gi-Oh! GX character deck profiles, and in today's video we are looking at Aster Phoenix. Now, I'm way behind on this series and I didn't really know what to do with myself today, so I decided to film one of these. One thing that's holding the series back is that certain decks I want to be in the mood for when I do them. For this one, for example, I probably wanted to be in the right mood for, but then I was going to do Bastion Misawa instead, and then realized I've had this weird thing recently where there's a card missing from Bastion. I've clearly took it out to put in another deck, and I have no recollection of what it is. So, yeah, then we just defaulted back to doing Aster Phoenix. This is sort of simultaneously one of my best and one of my worst character decks. Like, it can make some really good power plays in the context of, like the character deck's format, but also there is like nothing going on in the middle of the deck. It is very much a case of, can you get into a big boss monster, and if not, what else are you doing? So, a little bit of background for those who haven't watched one of these profiles previously. Me and my friends play character decks in a very specific way. It's almost more like role-playing than a specific format. So I do apologize in advance if I refer to it as a format throughout the video. That's obviously just more of a common use term. It's honestly more of a role-playing thing because we do technically change the rules fundamentally of the game. And basically, here are a few guidelines of how we try to do it. So we try to stick to anime accuracy. That means we try and stick to one copy of a card in each deck. Unless they use multiple copies, it only works in multiple copies. It's kind of funny, and if it helps you get into the full card count. We also put cards like ritual monsters and stuff like that in the extra deck because, you know, in the original anime in Duelist Kingdom, like, you know, ritual monsters kind of appeared out of nowhere. We prioritize anime effects where possible, and we allow everyone to use one copy of Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, and Card of Sanctity, again with the anime effect. There are probably some other guidelines as well, which, you know, if relevant, I will come across as we go through. But for now, let's just get into the deck. So first of all, we have the extra deck. Pretty typical extra deck in this case. Aster Phoenix just has a normal kind of fusion deck. There's nothing else special added. So first of all, we've got Destiny End Dragoon. Such a cool card, so gnarly and absolutely horrible to try and deal with in the character deck context where you have to try and kill this like multiple times. A really, really good card, really horrible card, but surprisingly difficult to get out considering all you need is both monsters in your hand and polymerization. Yeah, surprisingly few times where I've actually got this out, but you know, still very, very cool. Very, very there is no bad boss monster in this deck. There is no boring boss monster. Next we have Elemental Hero Shining Phoenix Enforcer. Now, throughout this series, I will talk about decks having a gimmick or a big play or something that they can only do very rarely, and the Aster Phoenix deck, this is it. I don't know how many times I've ever made a Phoenix Enforcer. I think I've done it at least once. A Shining Phoenix Enforcer? Not much chance of that happening. But again, he's such a cool guy. You have to have him on the cards anyway. And hopefully one day we will make him. So following up with that, we of course got the Elemental Hero Phoenix Enforcer. As I say, I even don't see the parts for this very often. It's kind of like if you see one of the vanilla Elemental Heroes, you don't see any of the others. Or you don't see the polymerization. I mean, not the extra deck, but just in general, we have some double dude tokens, and then we are into the main monsters. So first of all, of course, I would say tribute monsters, but they all special summon themselves. So not two tribute monsters, but three. First of all, three tribute monsters. We got Destiny Hero Plasma. Again, such a horrible card to deal with in character games. This thing has driven people to the very brink of madness trying to work out how to get around this without any monster effects. It is doable, it is killable, but it is a horrible thing to come up against. And the main deterrent, you know, the easiest way to get rid of it is to hope that the Aster Phoenix player doesn't draw into the stuff he needs to get this out. Which is surprisingly easy, though not, you know, entirely consistent. You know, there are a few ways to do it. But yeah, really love Plasma and so glad to be playing him in this deck. And next we, of course, have Dogma. Again, such a cool card. It's not really as control based as Plasma in any way, but halving your opponent's life points is always fun, and he is a massive guy to get over. Like, people fear Plasma, you know, you say Tribute 3 and you're like, oh, and they're like, oh god, here we go, expecting Plasma. As if Dogma's any better. You know, he's easier to get rid of, he's easier to deal with, but he does smash your life points when he comes out, so, or rather the standby phase afterwards, so there really is no easy way around it. Next card we have is Dreadmaster. One thing that is really cool that I have done, which sounds less likely than being able to get into Fusion Enforcer, to Phoenix Enforcer, is that I have summoned Plasma and Dogma separately in a game and then resurrected them both with Dreadmaster later on. That really doesn't seem like it should be easier to do than summoning Shining Phoenix Enforcer, but I have done that, and I've never summoned Shining Phoenix Enforcer. But yeah, really cool card. Again, probably the forgotten boss of the Destiny hero, you know, maybe the less cool one, the less good one, but still really cool, and quite often, that protection effect, to just bring him out during your opponent's turn, bring out a few guys that can't be killed, who might be quite weak, and just being able to protect himself until your turn and being able to buff him up a bit, just really, really helps the guy out. And the other tribute monsters, we got the one copy of Double Dude. Honestly, I used to like tribute set this all the time just because of like having a lack of options, but I never seem to do that anymore. And you very rarely see this guy. I do think he could be abusable if they made more Destiny Hero support, because you get the tokens if this card is destroyed. So all you need is something that's like destroy one Destiny Hero monster in your hand, and suddenly you get 2 tokens for nothing. So yeah, Double Dude's kind of cool. But yeah, very rarely seem to be any use, and I could probably count on my Double Dude tokens how many times I've used them to actually summon one of these guys. We have 2 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. You could argue you could play 3, but I think there's not really any need for 3. It only works with at least 2, but I don't think there's any need for 3. It's still character deck format. It's still quite a strong deck, and honestly, the main drawback of these is that you never have them when you need to discard for an effect. And if you do get one in grave, you'll lose the other one relatively soon. Like, you'll probably have one in hand and then lose one from deck or something like that. You know, it's they really don't line up well. So that would be my main argument for putting the 3rd copy in. But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem necessary, really. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Next, we have the Vanillas, the Elemental Hero package, of course. So we have Elemental Hero, Avian, Sparkman, and Bastinatrix. Technically, he played Clayman and Wildheart as well, and I did play them once upon a time, but not anymore. And like I say, you very rarely see 2 of these at any given time, and if you do, it's these 2. But still, just having the potential to go into Shining Phoenix Enforcer is what keeps these in the deck. So, you know, you have to. It's absolutely mandatory. Unless you want to play pure Destiny Heroes, you have to. Next, we got our 1 copy of Diamond Dude. You know, Aster played a lot of normal spell cards, and I could count on one hand the amount of times this has actually got its effect off and hit a normal spell card. The amount of times it mills a trap or something straight to the bottom of your deck is ridiculous. But, you know, Diamond Dude is Diamond Dude. He gets a free pass for being Diamond Dude. He's a cool guy. Next, we have Destiny Hero Defender. The less said, the better. You know, we've all had childhoods wasted to trying to get over a Destiny Hero Defender. I do want an older print of this, because obviously we've got the like the 5Ds era printing of him, and I would like to get an older print of him, preferably the rare, but I've just never got around to doing that. But yeah, again, Defender is Defender. What are you going to say? It's very helpful for walling up, and then hopefully you'll be able to get out the rest of the materials for your Dogma or your Plasma. Next, we have Destiny Hero Dunker. Honestly, underrated card, especially in this format. I've got a friend that I kind of like try to traumatize now by beating him with Dunker as much as possible, because, you know, I've done it a few times. There was one game where I just had him out for like no reason, and you know, we were kind of locked up. The field was kind of locked up, and I realized I had like 4 Destiny Heroes in hand, and I just went, right, dunk on you, it's game. You know, this is it's a really good card. Obviously, outside the context of these character decks, it's not a good card, but in this particular instance, it is a really good card. You know, he's not a bad wall, and he's a cool guy. Everyone loves Dunker, and yeah, he does win games. Next, we have Fearmonger. Very rare that you actually get this effect off, to be honest with you, but if you do, it's still, you know, you could set Fearmonger, and then you can still have a material on board during the next turn for anything to go into Dogma or Plasma. Next, we have Captain Tenacious. You really very rarely see this card's effect. I only recently got the effect to actually work for the first time ever, I think, because this needs to be on the field with another Destiny hero, and that other Destiny hero needs to be destroyed, rather than weak-ass Captain Tenacious. Honestly, I love the idea of Captain Tenacious, but it just doesn't work. It just does not do a thing. And honestly, if I felt like it wasn't criminal to do so, I would drop him. Next, we have Doomlord. Best spot removal in the deck, obviously. Such a good card, even to this day. Such a cool guy. Yep. We love Doomlord. We've got Dread Servant. This is crap, don't get me wrong. But I have once managed to fill a Clock Tower Prism with the 1 clock counter and then destroy it with the Destroy effect on Dread Servant. So that is cool. You know, that is one of the obscure things. Again, I kind of like the way it works, even though it is garbage. So he kind of keeps his spot. Next, we have Blade Master. This is really cool. It's a shame it only works in your opponent's battle phase, but it basically gives all face-up Destiny Hero monsters 800 attack during the battle phase. So this can lead you out of a jam, and if not, you really don't feel bad discarding it. And finally, for the Destiny Heroes, we have Destiny Hero Disc Commander. You know, doesn't really need much saying for him. He's a great card. He's a draw too. And of course, he, in recent years, got himself the best support card in this deck that you probably want to see. Again, this is a Rare Yellow Mega Pack copy. I would like to change it up for an original at some stage. It's even an American print. It's very faint, but yeah. And honestly, MVP of the deck, D-Cubed. It was so good when this card got printed, just because I loved this when I was a kid, because, you know, it's like a Destiny Hero dog. But honestly, such a good card as well. You see one copy of this with Plasma or Dogma, and you're done. Again, we prioritize the anime effect, but it more or less does the same thing. It's just it does less of it. It still does, you know, it still cheats out the three dogs. Really good card, and I'm so glad that this guy is actually like so effective in the deck, especially after like all the years of not having him through the childhood, etc. And then we move on to the spell cards. So first of all, we have Dark City. So the anime effect of Dark City and Skyscraper works when both players attack, which makes it horrible to play through. But funnily enough, I mean, I know that the Jaden player is playing Jaden every time we play GX, and I'm only playing Aster when I'm playing Aster. But he gets a lot more use out of Skyscraper than I do Dark City. And partly the reason for that is that the Destiny Heroes are just really weak. Like, again, as I say, if you don't get a boss monster out, you aren't doing a whole bunch of much. You might be walled up behind like a defender, or doing some Diamond Dude shenanigans or something. But if you don't have a boss monster out, you're not doing a whole bunch of this. And Dark City doesn't help all that much. You know, you basically just having to take over no tribute beat sticks to beat over them with Dark City. Next we have D-Spirit. It's a special summon from hand, so it's good for Plasma, Dogma, etc. We've got Clock Tower Prison, of course. I do actually have an ultimate rare Clock Tower Prison, but I just feel like the super rare GX print is so nice, and this was like my childhood copy as well. Yeah, you have to have Clock Tower Prison in this deck, obviously, and again, it's such a tricky thing in this character deck format because there's very little spell and trap removal, so suddenly it's midnight and you're not taking any damage. Sometimes, you know, it's another one of those things where other players, they know they need to get around the Clock Tower Prism, but then they forget and they just try and swing at you, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to continue living. And, you know, you catch people out that way. Next, we have D-Force, another recent card. It doesn't do any of this stuff in the anime, which is a shame. It doesn't search Plasma, it doesn't do anything like that. But it does protect Plasma, and it does make it really, really gnarly to play against, again, in this kind of situation. Next, we have Over Destiny. It's just another special summon. It feels like it used to be more awkward to get the targets for this, but it's possibly just because I wasn't playing Disc Commander. So Disc Commander is obviously a target for everything, because you have to banish a Destiny Hero and special summon one from your deck with half its level. So I feel like there have been times where it's been a little bit more complicated, but I probably didn't used to play Disc Commander, although it's definitely possible. But Disc Commander is just always there now, so it doesn't matter what you banish, you can get Disc Commander because he's level 1. Really good card to get another target out for Dogma or Plasma. Next up, we have another fairly recent card, which is Dr. D. This really made Disc Commander what it is now, at least potentially. I don't think there's been many times where I have actually revived Disc Commander, but it's Resurrection from the Grave, and that's really cool. Again, it's a body on board for Dogma and Plasma. As you can see, just going through this, there are a fair few ways to get those bodies out, and Dr. D has really helped with that. It's another Destiny Hero option, and really, really cool card. Really nice to get this out of the anime and into real print, and like I say, it's Disc Commander's best friend in theory. Next we have Cyclone Blade. This was OP in the anime. It was Heavy Storm in the anime, so yeah, really cool. can't really play without it. Next we have Destiny Draw, obviously. Yeah, can't play without Destiny Draw. An extra draw card, and then of course we have the draw package, Graceful Charity, Card of Sanctity, Pot of Greed, as I mentioned earlier. Then we have some like staples. We've got Magical Stone Excavation, very useful card. We've got Reinforcement of the Army. We've got Terraforming, it's quite useful because you've got Dark City and Clock Tower Prison. And then MST, very useful. Not every character played it. We don't see this as a staple for the format, and not everyone played MST, so it's always good when somebody did. And then we have, to finish it off, 2 mismatching copies of Polymerization. Now, funny story, I complain about the Phoenix Enforcer thing, but I only realized recently that I only had 1 copy of Polymerization in this deck, so that definitely wasn't helping. But that being said, I don't think that that would have changed matters at all. Like, I don't think there would ever be a case where I would have had the pieces and the Polymerization if I had the spare in the deck anyway. But yeah, we'll see if it happens now that we've got both of them. And finally, we're into the trap cards. The trap lineup is really good. So first of all, we've got D-Shield. This always catches people off guard. You know, they think they've caught a cheap attack on a weak little Destiny Hero monster, and it just turns to defense and can't be destroyed by battle. Brilliant. We've got D-Counter. It's even worse. Just destroys the attacking monster. We've got D-Fortune. They think they're getting a direct attack. We banish the Destiny Hero monster in the battle phase. Lovely. We've got Destiny Signal. Does what it says on the tin. Really, really cool card. We got D-Chain. This is fun. You know, this can, again, beef up. It's one of your only options to beef up your Destiny heroes. And, of course, it also does that burn damage if you actually do destroy something by battle. So that's really cool. And honestly, it's a difference maker. Because, like, you stick this on something like Dunker or Diamond Dude, and suddenly it's, like, a reasonable beater. Even if this is one of the only ways to jack something up, it's still a pretty good card at the end of the day. Next up, we have Destiny Mirage. Brilliant card. And one thing that I love is that if they destroy Dogma by card effect and you have Destiny Mirage, you bring Dogma back. That's bad enough. And then during the standby phase, it's going to half your opponent's life points again because it was special summoned. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things when people walk into that. Again, no one ever like remembers the Destiny hero traps, or at least if they remember one of them, they don't remember all of them. So they might think, oh, I don't want to attack it because you might have this, but they'll forget I might have this if you destroy it by card effect. And the last trap card we have here is Eternal Dread. Just puts 2 counters on Clock Tower Prison. I did plan to run 2. I never came across a second copy. And quite honestly, you know, it is kind of useful. It does work. I would be lying if I said there weren't multiple games where this has got the last counters on Clock Tower Prison. Obviously, it'd be a bit more consistent with the second copy, but you know, it's also not the worst thing in the world because it is potentially just a dead card. And another trap I would have played in this, it's one of my favorite trap cards just because of the artwork, and I used to play it, but in the end I took it out, was D-Time. You know, changing from your elemental heroes into your Destiny heroes. When I took Wildheart and Claymon out, it felt like there weren't enough targets to make that worthwhile. But if I ever got my hands on an ultimate rare one, maybe we revisit the issue. But yeah, that is everything for this video. And if you did enjoy this, please do like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the character deck playlist in the end screen for more. And I do actually have a character deck duel up on the channel now between Bandit Keith and Yugioh, which was re-uploaded from 2020. And we hope to do more of those in the future. But for now, I really do appreciate you guys joining me. So thank you all for watching, and goodbye.